Okay, so we're back in the Kerbal Space program, and now we're talking a little bit about neat tricks and tips that you can use with contracts. Contracts was a new system that came out with version 1, 1.0 launched, and you can see here there's a whole ton of things that you can do. But there's some of these that you should probably avoid early on, or if you're not a very good pilot, and I am not a very good pilot. So some of the harder ones, even though they're shown as trivial and single star, are these focused observational surveys. I tend to avoid those just because you've got to get to a specific place at a specific altitude. And you know, this one's fairly easy, it's just a crew report. But all the ones I have right now are crew reports. Here's a fun one that you should take. Escape the atmosphere. Always take that one when it comes up. Orbit Kerbal. You're going to eventually want to do that anyway, so, and it's pretty awesome. But the ones that I really want to talk about doing aren't here right now. Some of the easier ones are pretty obvious. Test anything splashed down in Kerbal. Those are fairly easy. Test in flight, those are usually pretty easy. In this case, it's a solid fuel rocket booster, so that one might be a little bit more difficult than normal, but by and large, it's going to be fairly easy. We've got the two that we can have right now because we haven't upgraded our contracts facility at all, so we have a max of 2 contracts. Let's go see what we can do with those. Escaping the atmosphere is 70,000 meters, so it shouldn't be too terribly difficult for us to accomplish, even with just the little bit of Kerbal tech that we have. It is going to take a lot of fuel, so we're going to throw on here a whole bunch of fuel tanks. And actually, at this point that I should probably mention that you really don't want to be stacking fuel tanks like this. It's one of the less talked about reasons for using the larger fuel tanks is you can get these smaller fuel tanks. When you're trying to turn the vessel, they'll start to wobble and things will get really wonky really quick. So you want to avoid using smaller fuel tanks if you can. We're planning on going outside the atmosphere. Any science out there? So it's 4 Mystery U containers on the side here. Probably not going to have enough parachute power to send a science junior, so we're just going to go with the 4 Mystery U's. We still don't have the action crews, so who's flying this thing? Bill. I don't want to fly. I need a pilot. We lost Jebediah the last time around, but you know what? Valentina is much better than Jeb is. So let's launch this thing and see if we can't open some of the more interesting, fun contracts that are easily repeatable. And one of the reasons for the pilot is pilots have SAS control. If you get an engineer or a scientist in there, they cannot turn on SAS. They can't even keep the thing going in a straight line. And here we go. Looking pretty good on fuel, looking pretty good on speed. Again, remember what I said last time, once you start to see the re-entry effects, the atmospheric heating or the wind, you're going too fast, so you have to slow down at that point. I'm clipping a little bit here too, so things are going a little bit slower than they were. Oh, there's those atmospheric effects I was talking about. So let's slow this puppy down. And of course, the higher you get out of the atmosphere, even if you don't slow down a whole lot, the higher you get, the less those atmospheric effects will occur, because the atmosphere is getting thinner. So There we go. We're going about 280 in low atmosphere. You can see right here, this is the low atmosphere. All of this on this side is considered high atmosphere. So you can get your flying at Kerbal in this area. And I forget whether you can get it here in the darker blue, but once you get out here, you definitely get in the upper atmosphere. Now this is a pretty small ship, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on physics acceleration. Oh, and that was a mistake. Let's see if we can't correct from that. Doesn't look like it's going to go well. Let's keep the engine. So this is where X and Z become really awesome. Turn the engine on real quick, right at the top. Turn it off as it goes down, and this, as you slow down, it's a really bad thing to do. But as you slow down, you'll gain more control. Hopefully, have enough thrust to punch you up into an atmosphere where that control is enough to offset the physics problem. This is not going well. I'm still going up, but it's, like I said, it's not going well. Turn off SAS, so you can't just get belt here. See, we're already up here in the high atmosphere. Should be getting some control back. Doesn't seem to be enough though. Oh, I know why I'm not getting as much control as I thought, or as I think I should be. I'm using an engine bell that doesn't have gimbal. It's a gimballess engine bell. If you were to have an engine bell with gimbal, and we're not going to make it out of this screen. Now I really will turn on physics warp and see what we can get. 40, 45, 46, 47, 48. Oh, let's see what the mystery gives us, because we can use some science back down there. Yeah, we're going to get something out of that. And the crew report. Yep. Now, it takes at least 3 mystery goos. Probably, I think it's probably actually 4 to get all of the science from a particular biome or area. So we're going to use up all 4 of these. And last one, grab it. We are going down. So we'll jettison that. Turn the speed back up. Leave the SAS off because we want this thing to self-orient as it passes through the atmosphere. And that'll kind of turn the heat shield in the right direction. Oh, and I hit the button. Slow it down. Okay, turn the SAS back on. Let's see. There we go. Then turn the physics time warp back up, and it should just wobble right there along that radiating path. We're going pretty darn fast at this point. We might not slow down enough. Slow down, and there goes the rest of the ship right by us. We gotta get it down to, I think it's 250 to deploy the chute safely. And it actually looks like we might make it past it. So we're pretty light. 260. There we go. Pop the chute. Watch the speed drop precipitously. We get to about 1,000 meters. And so we can speed up at least down to 1,000. Slow it back down. There's the chute. opening, very close, but still just above. Turn up the physics time warp again. We're cruising down at 5.6 to 6 meters per second, which is more than slow enough for a safe landing. The Mark 1 capsule has a crash tolerance of about 12 meters per second. So that was a flop. Let's try that again. Recover this. A little bit of extra science. And some experience for Valentino. So let's go buy that engine bell that has Kerbal. And a slightly larger fuel tank. That would be very helpful. Not enough for advanced rocketry just yet. And survivability. We really don't need anything in survivability at this point, because we're not going that far. The heat shield would be nice once we get into an orbit. But we just really don't need it. And we're not landing anywhere. So, switch out the engine bells and fuel tanks. Strip off the... Well, no, not strip off the science containers. But you can do part duplication or part tree duplication by holding down the Alt key and clicking on the part you want to duplicate. We're going to go twice as big, which is the same number of engines. This time we're going to use the swivel to get us up. And what is that? Is that the back? Can we? Yeah, we can throw that on the side. So we're going to throw on some solid fuel boosters just to get that extra little bit of lift. And yeah, leaving them way up there. Generally not a good design idea, but you know what? Everyone cares. Oh, and that's why we can't do that. 34 tons. Too heavy. Let's grab it here at the connector. Actually, it's the separator, but whatever. And cut it back down to 2 and see if that's... No, still too heavy. If that's too heavy, then 1 is probably still too... Yeah, 1's still too heavy. Well, let's see what we can do with what we've got over here. Oh wait, I said we weren't going to strip off the mystery goo. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Because we're not getting out. 11.7 tons. Okay, here we go. I may have already unlocked what I was trying to unlock, but I don't think that I did. Oh, and we did break 1 new world first milestone. Splashed into the ocean. That's not what I'm looking for. So, launch, kick up the speed, and not too fast. You want it to be gaining speed, but you don't want it to be gaining speed so fast that you trigger those aerodynamic effects. And I think I'm going to speed this up to about 4 times in post. Because I really don't have a lot to talk about to talk over. Well, you just sit there and watch this ugly, ugly rocket go straight up in the air. At least that looks pretty. What we want to do with this one, we just barely want to break the atmosphere. There we go, 77,000 should be, and it's gonna fall off as we continue through the atmosphere, but that's okay. And now that we're not accelerating, I can definitely turn physics warp back on. There's no motion; it's just going in a straight line, straight up. When we get up there to the top, the two things we gotta do. We got to record the science. Not until we break that 70k meter though. Okay. Observe. We don't have to wait. Isn't that great? On them, and then if you don't hit the button before you miss it, you're still okay. Okay, so that's all 4 mystery coups, and let's see if we can sneak a crew report in here. Got it. Okay, now we can really start to speed things up again. I'm gonna be crazy. I'm gonna non-physics warp kicks in at 70, but I'm going to be really crazy here. I'm going to turn on the physics warp. I'm going to try to save this lower stage here, at least as much as I can. Which, unfortunately, will actually mean kicking it over onto its side at some point. Now's as good a time as any, I suppose. And you want to kick it over on its side because they finally did fix the aerodynamics to the point where it will slow the ship down more if it's coming in on its side than if it's coming in straight up and down. More surface area exposed to the aerodynamic effects of Kerbal's atmosphere. It probably took a heck of a lot of programming to get it right too. So we're just gonna lay it flat on its side, and it, even though Valentina's working the SAS, resisting it, it's still going to wobble and flip-flop back and forth and try to maintain that sort of least resisted trajectory. Okay, at this point, we want to get things slowing down a lot, so we're going to keep that engine on and just burn all the fuel slowing down. Try and get it. Now we want it straight up and down because we want all of the fuel pushing us directly back against the force of gravity. It looks like we're going to have enough fuel to kick on the parachutes. Okay, there's the oh, darn it. Yeah, I had the staging, and, well, we're not going to save the lower assembly, but, uh-oh, this could be a problem. Hopefully the parachute doesn't burn up in the jet wash. Alright, there we go. Parachute's actually slowing us down as we're going up as well, so it's kind of a neat thing, but we lost the lower assembly because I used staging instead of manually deploying the parachute. But we're going to slow down just fine. And yep, there goes that. 1,000 meters above the surface. Parachute is deploying. Slows us down to our nice sedate 6 meters per second, and then we'll go again. Collecting all of that science. Or actually, no, at this point, we should check out to see whether or not those contracts are. Cover. Lots of science on that one. 26 science. Okay, that's not a lot. So, there it is. Ferry 3 tourists safely to their destination. And this is one of my favorite repeatable contracts. Now, it might seem like it's a lot, but, and it does come up again later, but at this point, having just broken the atmosphere, it doesn't matter how many tourists they put in here, their destination is always going to be suborbital spaceflight on Kerbal. And you can do that, we just did it. So we're going to take that one and swing on over here to the vehicle assembly building. And then put us together a vehicle which can hold 3 passengers. I probably don't have the parts for this right now. Yeah, don't have the parts. But, well, I mean, I could do it with 3 Mark 1 command pods. Or 4 Mark 1 command pods, actually. Because you gotta have one for the pilot. But we also don't have fairings, so the pilot, 2 empty commands, 3 tourists. And yes, you do have to go over there, put the tourists on. You know what, let's just try it and see what happens. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is it fails this way. No, you know what, we're not. Don't save. In fact, now that we've unlocked them, I'm going to call it a recording.